Welcome back to Midnight Menopausal Meanderings. This is under the umbrella of Notes from the Edge. I'm Lisa Lacy, your host, writer, trauma educator, executive advisor, author of the upcoming memoir Notes from a Certified Madwoman. If you found yourself here, chances are you're lying awake while the rest of the world is sleeping. Maybe it's 2 in the morning and your brain just won't shut off. Maybe menopause has hijacked your sleep, like mine. Maybe you're replaying an argument or wondering why people you love the most can be the most freaking difficult. But tonight I want to talk about something I don't hear discussed nearly enough. What happens when everyone in the family has a brain that works differently? Not just one person, everyone. In my family, my daughter was diagnosed with autism later in life, and we missed it when she was a kid. She was so freaking brilliant. My husband has severe ADHD and is definitely on the autism spectrum. And then there's me. I have accumulated enough psychiatric diagnoses over the years to fill an intake form before I've ever finished writing my name. Bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, complex post traumatic stress disorder, substance use disorder, anxiety and depression disorder. Very disordered. Some of those fit, some I still question, some I think were just attempts to explain trauma that nobody had recognized yet. But regardless of what the labels are, one thing is undeniably true. None of our brains work the same. And I I used to think it was about talking or communication. Now I think it was more about interpretation. So let's talk about that. So everyone thinks they're seeing reality. One of the greatest discoveries I've made is that we don't experience the same moment the same way. None of us. I used to think maybe somebody wasn't listening. Now I wonder if their executive functioning is overloaded. Or you may think somebody doesn't care, but maybe they're just emotionally exhausted. Or silence is rejection, man, all the wounds that we have. It can just mean regulation. That doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it changes how we respond. There's a huge difference between accountability and assumption. And when we assume intent, like we know, we're going to get it wrong. When we ask questions out of curiosity, one of my favorite words, we usually discover something that we did not see. So that these are invisible disabilities that no one sees. So imagine three computers, three different operating systems. Now imagine expecting all three to run the exact same software without crashing. That's how families often function. We assume everyone should process the stress the same way. Some people need quiet. Some people need movement. I need movement. I need talk. Some people have to go away for an hour. That's my hubby. It doesn't mean that any of this is inherently wrong. It just means what they need. Trauma changes the brain. Autism changes perception. ADHD changes executive functioning. Hormonal shifts, menopause changes everything. Depression changes motivation, anxiety changes threat detection. These are not failures, they are just neurological experiences. So, this changes how I try to approach the people I love and how I see myself. So, around here, we don't ask each other what's wrong with you. We ask, how's your brain today? What's going on in your brain? How's it working? It's amazing what happens when somebody feels understood instead of evaluated. You know, some days my husband will say, I am emotionally tapped. Translation, don't give me a list right now. Some days I know my CPTSD has hijacked my nervous system. Translation, don't interrupt my need for space. Right. And sometimes my daughter needs complete silence, not because she doesn't love us, but because the world is simply too loud for her. See, we stopped expecting each other to function the same way. And we started asking, what does support look like today? Not forever, just today, because it's going to change. So here are some things that helped. Get curious before getting defensive because curiosity builds connection, defensiveness builds distance. And then learn everybody's stress language or wounds, not love language, stress language. How do they shut down? How do they do when they're overwhelmed? What do their meltdowns look like? Know the signs. And then separate them from their nervous system. The behavior may need addressing, but they deserve mercy, is what I'm working towards. And then heal, apologize, make up quickly. Relationships aren't conflict free all the time, right? Reconnect quickly. So, and then don't worry about who was right. Ask what happened inside of us during that argument about the biscuits and gravy. If you haven't listened to that episode, listen to it. It's fear, old wounds, misunderstood intentions, past experiences colliding with present moments. Man, they sneak up on you. And menopause adds to this equation, by the way, because why not? Trauma wasn't enough. ADHD, autism, throw some hormonal chaos into the mix too. There are days still that I genuinely don't recognize myself. My fuse is gone, my memory, my confidence. Everything feels louder and heavier. And for a bit there, I was thinking I needed to be my old self and function the way I used to. But that burned me out. Women are so expected to continue carrying emotional labor of the family while their own nervous systems are under enormous biological strain. No wonder so many of us feel like we're failing. Maybe we're not failing. Maybe we're just carrying more than we can some days. Look, I spent my whole life trying to become normal. Now, I don't think a normal brain exists. Healthy doesn't mean everybody thinks alike. Healthy means people feel safe enough to be honest in themselves and to say, I'm overwhelmed, or I need a break, or I don't have the capacity today, or I can't hold something heavy. I would love you, though. Families don't become stronger because they become easier. They become stronger because people feel safer in the relationship. Understanding is not the same as agreeing with it either. And choosing connection over conclusion and being right is always going to serve us better, even though it's harder. If this resonated with you, I hope you'll share it with somebody you love. Put a comment, a 5-star it. Maybe somebody who's been trying hard to understand another person, or maybe somebody who spent years believing that they're just too much. The people we love aren't difficult because their brains work differently. They're human, and so are we. The more we understand how each other's nervous systems experience this world, the less time we will fight each other, and the more time we will be standing beside each other. Thank you for spending part of your night with me. This has been Midnight Menopausal Meanderings, where we wander through the conversations that keep us awake, hoping sleep will be easier tomorrow. Maybe the insomnia will take a break. Until next time, be gentle with your brain, be curious about someone else's, and remember, healing doesn't begin with finding the right answer. It begins by asking better questions. Welcome to the edge.